And soft skills can be divided in leadership, communication, flexibility and adaptability, problem solving, teamwork, so collaborating with other people within a team, time management, which is also the same as work ethic, and persuasion. After the break, we will zoom in these soft business skills, and I will give you some more information about them. So for now, these are some about soft business skills. Next slide, please. So as I already told you, hard skills may get you the job, but soft skills make or break you as a manager or as an employee or as a student, because you have to work within a team, you have to work with people, and for that, soft skills are very, very important. Next slide, please. In the next slide, I'm showing you a case in which I would like to discuss with you possible answers. So the first case is Simon. Simon has studied for many years. He has a degree in data science and IT, and he loves to solve IT-related problems. Give him a specific problem and he will solve it in a short period. And he has many projects with a small time span and prefers to work alone. Could you tell me if he has a dominant hard or soft skill? I think the host has to unmute you so you could answer this question.
I think
I
they
think they
can.
can.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Echo.
Does anyone know the answer?
Yeah, you guys, if you do know the answer, you can just unmute yourself and
How
yeah.
would you define Simon?
Okay, so I don't think we have an answer for now, Ilam. So go ahead and continue.
I think you're still unmuted.
Okay. In hard skills. Hard.
Could you repeat it?
I said summer is dominating hard business skills.
Yes. And why? Could you explain why?
Because you love working alone.
Yeah. Thank you. That's correct. So Simon is dominantly in his hard business skills because he likes to work alone. And he is more likely to zoom in on a specific problem. So while working alone, you don't get the insight of other people with different views on problems or different views on solutions. So he is just focused on his view and his solution, and his projects are very short. He is only focused on his solution and his result and his goal. So he doesn't look at the organization as a whole and possible other solutions, which could mean that the problem could be like organizational broad and could be more complex. So he just is focused on a quick and quick solution. But then we have another example, and that is Maria. Maria has a study in data science and is good in communicating and loves to work with people. Looking further than a problem helps her to identify the organizational issues. Therefore, her projects have a longer time span. She has a large network and attends social events. So the same question, is Maria dominant in her hard or soft skills? Could someone answer?
Who's dominating your soft business skills? Soft.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Maria is indeed dominant in her soft business skills. As I said, she loves to work with people, has a large network, but also, the communication with other people, with other views, helps her to identify other problems in the organization. Um, and gives her a more complex project than as she intended. Next slide, please. Overall, people or companies look for people with a mix of both hard and soft skills. So you have to know what the job or the requirements of the job is. So you have to know how it works, how the human body works. If you go back to the example of the doctor, he has to know how the body works, but he also has to know how to be polite and communicate with his patients. So he has to show hard skills, but also soft skills. Therefore, it is important to know which skills are required for the position you want. If you want to apply as a doctor, then you have to work on both of them. But sometimes, if you want to work as a call center employee, then you have to work on your soft skills communicating, because the rest is typing. It isn't as complex as the human body, so you have to compensate it and find like the fitting balance for the position you want to apply for. And if you want to apply for something and you know that your soft or business skills are not so good, identify them and work on them. So develop the skills you want for the position that you want. So you can learn everything. Don't get scared of things that you don't know, because you always learn things, but identifying them and then tackling them and learning and making it a goal that you develop it is also a skill. So don't forget that. Next slide, please. So for the soft skills, soft skills are the skills that people look at when applying for a job or getting into a conversation. So I would like to ask you, if you see somebody new, what are the things that you see first? So when seeing someone coming into the room, into the classroom, and you have never seen them, what do you look first? Do you look at their face, at their shoes? I don't know. Tell me. Everything is good. So sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat, please?
Hello? Hello?
There is an echo on the person who wanted to speak right now. So
Yeah.
maybe you can use the chat for answering.
Yeah, it's a bit loud in the background, guys, so could you use the chat?
Just
It's
use
okay.
the chat function. Otherwise, we hear a loud echo.
Okay. I actually look at it before having a conversation because I'm making.
Hi, can you
Hi, can you
please use
please
the
use the
chat?
chat?
Because we
Because
cannot
we
hear
cannot hear
you.
you. Just type it in the chat. Yeah, so thank you for your answer. Musa wrote, I actually look at their face first and his activities. Yes, thank you. So if you go to the next slide, please. The first impression are most likely the way somebody dresses, their face, so their smiles, their way of standing. So if they have an open position or they are like this with their hands up over each other, it makes a big difference. So have an open impression, have a smile, look clean. So you don't have to have like a designer clothes or like wear fitting clothes for the position. So if you are, for example, applying as a director or as a manager, don't go in a t-shirt and in a short. Wear a blouse and a nice pants, which are required for the job. So fitting for the job. Next slide, please. So as Musa said, your facial expressions are important, your attitude, but also your questions, the way you dress. These are very important things for the first impressions. In these short moments, you want to highlight your powers in an elegant way. And your powers are your soft skills, but also your hard skills. So just compensate them and depending on the situation and depending on who you are talking with, find a balance, find a way to balance them. An example is for a first impression, ask questions based on your knowledge, because if as it is a question, you show them that you have knowledge about it. So you ask like in-depth questions about the subject, and listen to the answer that somebody has. Listen to their story. Sometimes they give you like answers or subjects to ask a more more questions about, more in-depth question about. So make use of the information that somebody is telling you. Next slide, please. How to start a conversation. I like to use the 5 second rule because sometimes you get in a situation and you are not sure if you want to ask or go up to the person and introduce yourself. Make use of the 5 second rule. You have 5 seconds to do it. Otherwise, after the 5 seconds, you are not going to do it. The answer is always no in your head and you are holding yourself back. So if you see somebody who is a key person for your network to get to a certain position, or you have to know them, you have 5 seconds. Just go to them and prepare, introduce yourself in two sentences. Ask questions starting with what, why, and where, and how. these are open-ended questions, so you can start a conversation with it. And depending on the situation, you can either start with asking the question and afterwards introduce yourself, or introduce yourself and afterwards ask the question. When the other person is answering, always listen. Listen first and then ask. So you can mention the information they are telling you in your own question. Use it. These are skills that give the other person the feeling that you are really listening to them, and they will really like you, and they give you you will give them the feeling that you are listening and you understand them. And a key tip is ask one question at a time. Sometimes you have like many questions in your head that you want to ask a person, one question at a time, and give them the room to answer the question. So normally the next slide would be the 5-minute break, but I would prefer to go on to the other slide. And we will zoom in the most important soft skills. So communication, leadership, teamwork, time management, flexibility, adaptability, and persuasion. Next slide, please. So as we are today communicating through technology, there are different ways of communicating, and I see communication as one of the most important soft skills. They come back in all other soft skills, but also they give bonus points to your hard skills. If you are a very, very good doctor, but you can't speak with your patients, and you will never find a diagnosis. So you have to ask them, and you have to have like communication skills. So it's very important to focus. If you are not good in communicating and speaking up or speaking to people, focus on it and develop yourself in this aspect. Next skill, and that's next slide, sorry. You need to be clear in your communication. And for this, you can use the following elements. So I like to use these 3 points when communicating. I like to identify what I want to say. So, what is the essence of what I want to say? To whom am I speaking? So am I speaking to CEOs, or am I speaking to my peers? Am I speaking within a group? Which role do I have within that group? Am I the leader? Am I just working or specialized in a subject? So to whom am I speaking, and which role do I have? And what is the goal which I want to achieve when saying something? So what is my goal when communicating? These 3 points will help you develop your communication skills. Next will be communicating in conflicts. Yeah, this is a hard point for a hard element for everyone within communicating, because conflicts come in different forms within groups, within colleagues, within projects. You always have conflicts. So it's very important to focus on the goal of your communication. What do we want to say, or what do I want to achieve by saying something? And I'm not speaking from emotion. So leave your emotions out of it. That keeps it very professional and makes you likable. Otherwise, you get into the conflict too much, into the argument, and by not speaking from emotions and focusing on the goal, you take a step back out of the argument and the conflict, and just reflect on the situation and the goal of the the project you are working on, if it's a project. Next slide, please. I have an example on the next slide. So this is a case in which the person is very shy. I hate to speak to people. I don't know however, my manager wants me to attend a social event to network and gather funds for the project. And many CEOs are attending the event. Does anyone have any tips on communicating with them? So as we discussed in the previous slides, you can use the three tips that I discussed. So what do I want to say? So her goal is to gather funds and build a network. Whom am I speaking to? She is at an event where CEOs are. So she is speaking to CEOs. She has to speak in a way CEOs like. And what is the goal I want to achieve by saying something? She wants to gather funds for the projects she is working on. So by identifying these three elements, it will help you to prepare for such an event or such a situation. Next slide, please. Next slide. The next soft skill is a leadership, and a leadership is an important soft skill as you have to show emotional intelligence, so listening and showing empathy. For example, if you are a manager or a CEO at an organization and you have an employee which is a mother and she is single and she has 3 children at home. Her situation is very different than someone who isn't in that situation. So show empathy and listen to them, and this will make you better at your leadership. The next point is communication, giving and receiving feedback. So feedback is explaining the good and bad points of someone. So within your leadership, this will give you growth, but you will also stimulate growth within your team and by giving and receiving feedback. And the next point is motivation. So being positive and giving positive energy to your teammates and your team as a leader is very important, because focusing on the negative points or negative elements won't stimulate your team or motivate them. And by focusing on positivity and showing them how to be positive, you give them positive energy and they will give you positive results. But also as a leader, you have to take into account the problems. So you have to show problem solving skills and be creative. So stay positive, but also don't look over the problems and don't ignore them. You have to see them and solve them in a creative way. Then decision making, so choosing your priorities. You are in a team, everyone has his powers, everyone has his specialties, and you have to choose which things are most important for the company or for the team. And that's something that the leader that fits within the role of a leader. But also stress management, because when managing everything, you get sometimes like responses from your team that you don't like, and you have to respond in a professional way, and you have to stay calm and manage your responses within different situations. So you have to relax and find your calmness sometimes from other elements. Sometimes it's from positivity, by focusing on the positive elements, but take into account that stress management is also important as a leader and is also a soft skill. Next soft skill, please. Next slide. The next soft skill is a teamwork. Maybe you had some team projects in school, or you have like a diverse group of friends, and you see that everyone has their qualities, and you might see these qualities that I show here in this slide. You might recognize them. So the first one is a successful team. They communicate well with each other. So communication is important, as I told you at the soft skill communication. Communication comes back at every soft skill, so leadership, but also teamwork, because you work with different people, and if the communication, if you can define the goal and your results and what you want to do, then you will fail as a group. You won't manage to finish your project. It all starts with communication. Then the second is focus on your goals and your results. So what do you want to achieve? What is the goal that you want to achieve as a group? And focus on the problems you want to solve. Sometimes you have like different problems, but the eventual goal, don't forget it and focus on it. The next one is everyone contributes their fair share. So make a task division, make a clear task division, and organize it. And try to support each other. So if someone has a hard time or doesn't know how to solve something, and collaborate and help each other. Also, a diverse team helps you to think critically about solutions, as I told you at the example of Simon. It helps you to think critically about the solutions, about the way you think, about possible other problems that may occur when you are stubborn and want your way and aren't open for other perspectives. And everyone has their expertise, so they have their knowledge and they have their way of thinking. So take that into account and make that of use within your team, and make that a power. Within a group, there always needs to be a leader, and a leader may help you to identify everyone's powers and help you to give you the tasks that you like. So a leader is very important, a good leader, and helps you to organize and to manage time. But most of all, in teamwork, the most essential thing that makes a team successful is having fun. If you don't have fun, your team will be unsuccessful. You have to have fun in the project that you are doing. So in the next slide, I have another example. During this current course at school, I'm required to work in a group of students with different expertise. As everyone has a different view, it's really hard for me to work with them. We disagree on everything. How can we manage to finish this project? So for this example, I would advise communication, because communication comes back at everything. So because everyone has a different view on something, and everybody has their expertises, make use of them, and by communicating with each other, you can come up with a solution which is very creative. So make use of it. The next slide, please. Next one, please. The next soft skill is time management. There are different principles of time management. Time management is also a leadership skill. The principles of time management are planning, always important. How much time do I have, and what do I have to do within this time? So controlling the time you have to spend on a specific activity. I like to make a week schedule and plan the things that I have to do, and organize and prioritize. So which activities or which tasks are most important within a week or within a day, and I will prioritize them. But also the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, is very important. You have 20% of hard work to produce and 80% results. So focus 20% on making an effective use of your time. So 20% of hard work, and you will see 80% of results from your 20% of hard work. So if you prioritize in a good way, you will see the 80-20 rule coming back in your schedule. The next thing is don't multitask, do one thing at a time, otherwise the quality of your work goes down. So do one thing, one task at a time. Avoid distractions and take short breaks. I like to work for 30 minutes and take a 5 or 10-minute break, and divide my work in such short breaks. Then delegate and make task divisions. Yeah, so that's the same as organizing. Organize your tasks and identify what is more important. But also, if you have a large task, divide them in subtasks and prioritize them. Keep yourself healthy and stress-free. This is also stress management. But also if you have like a full schedule, sometimes you get like very interesting offers, or people ask you for help, or people ask you for their opinion, for your opinion. It's important to say no for your own health and staying stress-free. So learn to say no. Don't say yes to every project, otherwise your schedule gets too full and it's unhealthy. The next slide. This is an example. My name is Leo. I started working as a project manager full-time this year. During my work, I have to take into account everyone's schedule, prioritize the tasks, and aim to finish the project in time. When things don't work out, I really get stressed. Can you help me? So for Leo, it is important, as we talked about stress, time management, and teamwork. It is important to make a task division, but also work on his stress levels. So yeah, take some time off maybe, or divide the schedule to be more stress-free. So take into account stress management. Next slide. The next slides, or the next soft skills, will be about flexibility and adaptability. And adaptability is the willingness to convert or change your way of thinking or your ideas. So completely changing your ideas or way of thinking about something. And flexibility is more a willingness to meet someone halfway. So compromising. The next slide, please. Next slide. How can you be flexible or adaptable? Be aware of changes in your environment, because your environment is always changing. You can't stop it, so don't resist it. Go with the changes in your environment, and develop your own growth. So self-development, Focus on learning new things, and don't see everything from a negative perspective. By being flexible and adaptable, you also keep in mind the positivity and your own growth. Set goals for yourself, so within your function or your position at a company or in school. Um, Set goals for yourself to promote self growth, and ask for feedback if you work in groups. This shows you how flexible or how adaptable you are within the roles you have, and learn and accept changes. Next slide. The next slide will be about us problem solving. For this, you need analytic skills, innovative and creative thinking, a proactive mindset, and adaptability, and flexibility. So, yeah, if your idea doesn't work, will you reassess and change your way of thinking? But also level-headedness. So, yeah, leveling with the people you are working with, and don't overstep yourself. If you are a manager, don't don't think that you are better than your co-workers. It's a team effort, and everyone has to work along and take initiative. So be proactive. The next slide, please. The next slide will talk about the soft skill persuasion. And persuasion is the act of influencing someone to do something or change their mind. For example, a good salesperson uses persuasion to get people to buy something. So, but also children could persuade you to get permission for a candy or for something that isn't allowed if they use it in a correct way. There are also theories about persuasion. Aristotles, I don't know if it's familiar with you, but Aristotles has looks at persuasion from three critical elements. In the next slide, he defines ethos, the credibility of the speaker, logos, the strength of the argument, and pathos, the communicator's ability to emotionally move the audience. So these three elements are very important when being persuasive. So you have to be a credible speaker. So you don't you aren't lying. So it's a credible person. Your credibility is high. And a logos, the strength of the argument. So you have to have like proof, good argumentation for the argument you want to persuade, and the ability to level with the people you are communicating with. Next slide, please. So this is the theory of Aristotles, where he identifies the three critical elements, as I just told you. Next slide. So this is something that I would like to give you as a take-at-home assignment, when you can use it when introducing yourself to someone or making a good first impression. Try to answer within, or try to implement it in your introduction. So who am I? Who or what can I do or want to become? So what are my powers? And what is my goal? What is your eventual goal? So if you want to be like a CEO of a certain company, who am I and what do I need to do to achieve that goal, is also very important. And what do you need? Do you need a network? Then you have to find people in your network or find people which get you to your goal. I would like you to maybe answer these questions or work on them in your own time, and then discuss them with your mentor, because some of you, I believe, have a mentor, and you can use it and prepare like an introduction in two sentences about yourself. And you can use it when looking for a study or a job or an internship. It's very important to identify these four key elements about yourself. And on the next slide, I have some other take it home messages. So the first is, who am I, as was in the other slide, but also identify two powers, two soft skills, which are your powers. What are you good at? Are you good at communicating? Are you good at working in teams? So maybe you can look back at the slides about soft skills, and zoom in on the slides about communication if it's something you have to develop. So I would like to ask you to choose two soft skills as your powers and two soft skills as to further develop them. Then use your powers and the previous slide about introducing yourself. And I would like to ask you to make a 5-minute pitch. And you can use this pitch when applying for a job or an interview, or when networking, or yeah, you can always use like certain things. And when making the pitch, you can just practice it in front of the mirror, as yeah, you will develop it, and you get more confident in pitching yourself and be more confident about your powers. Yeah, and I would like to know how you eventually use this information. So please let us know as Planet Inaba how you develop your soft skills or what you learned from this training, because I really enjoyed preparing this for you, and I hope you get some useful information out of it and use it. Thank you for your attention, and I hope this was informative training for you. Next slide.
Great. Thank you so much, Ilam. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was still on mute. Thank you so much, Ilam, for this session. It was really great. I think it would be good for us to now start with the Q&A, just to get some questions for Ilam, and then she can try to answer them to the best of her abilities. So maybe we can start with project change. On your side, do you have any questions for Ilam? You're still on mute, sorry.
My question is, get me?
Yep.
How can analytical skills be applied in leadership?
So,
Because,
Could you repeat it, please?
how can analytical skills be applied in leadership?
So analytical skills will help you to identify the way of analyzing the problems you have, or analyzing